with you is interest rate issue as well. And so far you have learned how to use the interest sensitive gap management using the repricing gap and so on, using some different tactics and useful tools to protect against changes in the interest rate. However, it's this interest sensitive gap management does not fully take into consideration the impact of the changes in the interest rates on the market's value, bank's capital, or the net worth of the bank. The net worth, it's simply to say, is the stockholders' part of the balance sheet. If you remember from the accounting course, asset is equal liability plus owner's equity. So net worth is, in other terminology, which is called as stockholders' value or stockholders' investment in the bank. So in addition to this, the interest rate sensitive gap management does not provide any single number that tells the banker what their institution's overall exposure to the interest rate risk is. In order to overcome these pitfalls, we will learn how to calculate the duration of the bank assets and liabilities in more detail. You might have seen it before, but I want to review it quickly and so that you don't have any questions about it. So it's a subject that you might have seen it before. So duration is the weighted average maturity of the promised streams of the future cash flows. So in the effect, the duration measures the average time needed to recover the funds committed to an investment itself. So there's a formula that we use it in here. Duration is equal to, so there's you follow the calculation. We're given an example, like the bank is given a loan which is for 5 years, and it promises the bank that annual interest payment will be 10%. The face value of the loan is $1,000. So it has got market value, and the loan's YTM is 10%. So what is the loan's duration? So according to the formulation which is provided in the previous slide, we just get the numbers and substitute and put it here. And we get like 4.17 years, provided years are needed to just recover those committed investment, okay?
But you are not sharing the screen.
Why I'm so selfish person? Okay. I'm very sorry, guys. I'm just forgetting to share. I don't know. I'm maybe so much excited. Okay, then it means that I have to go again from the beginning for the formula issue. So the duration itself is measuring the average time that is needed to recover the funds committed to an investment, certain investment project. So there's a formula which is given here. Is cash flow, discounted factor, and timing, and so on. So we'll see in more details using some Excel spreadsheet how to calculate it. You'll get better idea of it. There are some examples given, like manually calculation. So 10% of interest payment with the 5 years of loan. The face value of the loan is $1,000 with a current market value. The loan YTM is 10%. So in here we see that the face value and the market value of that loan is exactly the same, because YTM is equal to the coupon rate from the bond valuation. And what is the loan duration in here? So if you just substitute everything into the formulation, as you can see it here. So according to the formulas which is given here, you just substitute the numbers and you get the 4.17 years, okay? I don't want to spend the time in calculating them manually, because we're gonna use the Excel spreadsheet itself. So for us, it's better to concentrate more on Excel. So okay, so 14.17 years needed to recover the funds committed to the investment actually. So for bonds to pay the interest semi-annually, you need to convert just into semi-annuity, or if it's quarterly, you need to just convert everything into the semi-annual, or if it's quarterly, you need to convert into quarterly basis, divided by 4. If it's like weekly, you need to divide it by 52, and so on. The same thing that you have done in your previous finance courses, when you just calculating the present value or future value, annuity issue, or the bond value. Is there anyone who did not take any principle in the finance course? Anyone who doesn't remember how to estimate the future value annuity in the present value or the bond value issue? I think all of you should remember this. Okay. So Eurobond pays annual, suppose the annual coupon is 8% of the face value, and the bond value of the bond, which is 1,000. The YTM is 8% as well, which shows that the bond value is the same with the face value. So as the calculation indicates, the duration weighted average time to maturity on this bond is equal to 4.99%. In other words, on a time value of the money basis, the initial investment is $1,000 is recovered after 4.99 3 years. So whatever that comes after these years, it will be your actual markup. It will be your return. So the minimum number of the years that you need to recover your investment that you made of $1,000 is 4.99 3 years. So it's more or less close to the payback definition. Okay, when we come to the discussion about it, because the payback, it tells you the same story, like how long it takes to recover the cost invested value. But in here we're talking about the loan itself, and who provides the loan? The creditors. They are the investor. They're investing their money. They're giving the loan. So what they do in here, this is done in Excel spreadsheet actually. So cash flows are given. This is the coupon payments, and this is the face value plus the coupon payment. Then they discount the fact, okay, they discount this value with the YTM rate. They discount it in each year. Then cash flow multiplied with the discount value. This is discount factor, okay? They multiplied by this value. And how you can get directly without, if you don't want to make double work, just make like 80 divided by 1 over 1 plus the YTM itself to the power t, and you will get directly this. And this, whatever you get the number, you just multiply by the number of the period that you are in actually. If you're in the 5th year, you should multiply by the 5. And our rate, as we can see, that 8%. So which means here 80 divided by 1.08. So this will get you to this point. After that, when you multiply by the number of the period, which is 1, you get 74.07. Then when you divide 80 by 1.08 to the power 2, okay, that will get you to the point to here. And whatever you get it in here, you should multiply by 2. And then what do you do here? You just sum it up, left and right column, and then right column divided by the left column. That would give you the duration. This is how the duration is calculated. It's pretty easy using the Excel spreadsheet. Just and this is the duration of 2 years of the treasury bond with 8% coupon and 12% YTM semi-annually. Okay. Now how to convert into semi-annuality, same way of calculation. And duration of the 2-year treasury bond with a 6% coupon rate and 12% YTM, and duration of 2 years treasury bond with 8% and 16 and 12. So how the duration changes, changing the YTM, okay? 12, 16, 12%, and the number of the years, if the number of the year changes, how the duration will change in this way, okay? You just try to get the information from it. So as you can see, the duration in here, it was 8%, then it becomes 12%, then it becomes 16%. So once the YTM increases, if the number of the years is fixed, is here. How many years we have? Yeah, 2, 2, 2. So it was 8, 12, and 16 by 4% increase. Okay. So what happens in here, as the YTM increases, we're trying to get the relationship between the duration and the YTM itself. As the time increases, the duration falls down. As the number of the year decreases of specific the life of the asset, the duration will go down as well. So here's a positive relationship we have. Here we have inverse relationship between YTM and the duration itself. Okay, this is the information I just summarized in here. You can, what I have just said is summarized in here. Guys, I'm going quickly over this because you have, I assume that you have already covered this maybe in your institutional financial management. I'm just reviewing quickly. You will be responsible anyway for this, but my point is to get into more empirical based calculation part. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and I can go easy. But anyway, I'm going to go over the calculation through the Excel, but not now on Wednesday, but today I'm going to spend the time a bit on research issue. So what is done in here, whatever I had just explained to you above, it has been shown in here in more detail, like period of cash flows, the expected cash flow, the coupon payments, present value of the expected cash flow, the time period is cash to be received at this time period of time. Then you just multiply by the number of the time in here, and you just sum it up. You get this one. Then this divided by this, that will give you actually what you call the duration. Net worth of any bank. So net worth is equity value is asset minus liability. So an interest change in the value of the both banks' asset and liability will change, resulting in the change in net worth. So changes in net worth is equal to change in asset minus change in liability. This is the equation that we know from the accounting. So the rise in the market interest rate will cause the market value of bank fixed rate and the assets and the liability side to go down, because there is an inverse relationship between the YTM and the value of the loans. The longer the maturity of the bank's assets and liabilities, the more they will decline in the market value. So when the market interest rate increases. So there's as well the maturity, the inverse relationship between the maturity and market interest rate. And bank change in net worth due to the change in interest rate will be depending upon the relative maturity of its assets and liabilities. This is what you should have taken into account while you're estimating any duration, any changes in net worth of the bank, while if changes in interest rate take the place. So because the duration measure of the maturity and the bank with a longer duration asset and liability will suffer a greater decline in the net worth when interest rate rises. So by equating the asset and liability, duration management can balance the average maturity of the bank's expected cash flows, which is associated with its liability. So duration analysis can be used actually to stabilize, or we can call in another word to immunize it, the market value of the bank net worth. So the best way you can, the risk that you can, if the interest rate increases and you might lose it. So the best way is to keep stable, and the one way to do that is to make the duration, I mean the maturity between the asset and the liability, there shouldn't be a much difference. If there's no difference, almost close to zero, that will help you actually to stabilize or to immunize your market value of the bank's net worth. So price sensitivity of the security is the important feature of the duration from the risk management point of view, which measures the sensitivity of the market value of the financial instrument to any changes in the interest rate. So the percentage change in the market price of an asset or liability is actually roughly equal to the duration times relative change in the interest rate, which is attached to the particular asset or liability. So which is shown in the formula here. So percentage change in price equal to duration times percentage change in interest rate. So consider the bonds held by bank that carries out the 4 years and current market value of $1,000. The market interest rate is attached to comparable bonds are about 10% currently. If the market rate increased to 11%, so what will change occur when the bond market value in the bond market value? So what do you do here? You just substitute everything. So duration is given. Percentage change is given in here, like 1% change from 10 to 11%. So you do these changes and you can see your percentage change in price in the market value in the bond is 3.64%. So using the duration against to hedge against any changes in the interest rate risk. So if the bank interested in fully hedging against interest rate risk fluctuation, so they have to use the following: the dollar weighted duration of the bank's asset portfolio equal to dollar weighted duration of the liabilities asset. So they should be exactly same in order to make the zero difference between the asset and liability in terms of maturity. In terms of more specific, in terms dollar weighted duration, so that the bank's duration gap will be zero, or as we can say, it will be immunized. So any changes will not have any effect on the both sides. So you will not gain any profit and you will not incur any loss in here. So when the duration exceed the liability, the asset side, we'll have a positive duration gap in here. So which means the dollar weighted asset duration will be greater than the dollar weighted duration. So which is not really preferable in here, because the interest rate might go in the way that will put you in the position that you will incur a really huge loss. So in order not to have this position, you have to be secure, you have to be immunized or stabilized in terms of having any interest rate effect on your financial performance. And when liability duration gap is the same thing. So the best point is just opposite what we have said in here. Like when the asset duration is greater than the liability duration, you have a positive gap. When the liability duration is greater than the asset duration, you have a negative gap. But the best point, the best level that you could achieve is when your asset duration is equal to liability duration. So duration of the portfolio of the bank asset and portfolio of the deposit and other borrowings equal to the weighted average of the duration of each instrument. So it can be calculated as following. So calculate the duration of each loan, deposit, and like weight each of this duration. So you need to provide some weights to each that you calculate. Let's say at the above we calculate the duration of the bond, but you have the duration of the treasury bill, you have duration of the borrowing, you have the duration of the deposit. So calculate them separately, then put a weight and add those all value weighted duration together to derive the duration of the entire bank portfolio. This is how you calculate. So when we get into the example, you will understand better. This is the formulation that it described you above. These 3 steps of calculation of the weighted dollar duration. So example is given here: treasury bonds, commercial loans, consumer loans, real estate loans, and municipal bonds. And number of the years are here. The duration are for each is calculated. The market values. So dollar weighted asset portfolio duration is equal to, you add them all, whatever you get a sum, and just multiply the duration with the value, you will get weighted dollar duration, and then you divide by the value of the market value of all your portfolio, you get dollar weighted asset portfolio duration. This is asset side. Same thing can be performed for the liability side. Okay, and duration gap in here is equal then duration of asset minus duration of liability. I'm talking about the portfolio, okay, duration gap, and total liability over the total assets. And another formula that we need to know is change in net worth, by how much your net worth will change. If there's a percentage change in the interest rate, then you have to use this formula. So duration of asset times percentage change in interest rate times of asset minus duration liability, change in interest rate, and times by liability. So this is the formula will let you to calculate the net change in the net worth. The example is given here, like suppose the bank's duration of asset 3 years and liability of 2 years. If you're not given, you have to calculate. How you can calculate? Using the dollar weighted duration of asset or dollar weighted duration of liabilities. The way you calculate the duration of each asset, then you just multiply by the weight of its assets. Total liability and total asset is given here, and interest rate originally was like 10%, then it increases to 12%. Then what will happen to the bank's net worth? You just substitute everything into this formula. If you substitute and you just get calculated, things are here. So minus 2.91. So net worth of this bank declines 2.91 as a result of 2% increase in the market interest rate. So one question I might ask, in what case this bank, exactly this bank that I'm talking, will benefit? What should happen to the interest rate so that they can benefit? Should decrease or increase more? One more time, what should happen to this bank? What should happen to the interest rate in order to the bank to get benefits? Should the interest go up or go down?
So it should go down.
Should go down. Why?
Because it has a negative duration.
Duration gap is negative. No, wait. Duration gap is? Here's the duration gap. So what is the duration gap? If duration of asset is higher than the duration of liability, and in this case, the interest rate should go down in order to make it. But what is the best way? What could you do as a risk manager? Imagine you are given this situation. You have estimated that if interest rate is increases by 2%, what will happen here? Imagine now you are working in the bank, in the financial institution. And as a risk manager or financial manager, you have to take a certain decision. So what could you do in this situation if you have your total asset is 100 million, if you have your total liability, sorry, 100 million total liability, 120 of total assets, and duration of asset is 3 years and duration of liability is 2 years. What could you do in this situation if you expect that the interest rate will increase? So let me give you a hint. Would you change any structure of the liability or the assets? Your job, guys, your job to reduce this effect, okay? To reduce this effect. Remember the rules. Remember the rules. Here I'm going back. The best rule is that, I mean, the best point that you could ever achieve is when the dollar weighted duration of bank asset portfolio is equal to dollar weighted duration of the bank's liability. And how can you calculate the duration of the asset with a dollar weighted average? This is the way. So this duration of asset should be equal to duration liability. So which means that duration gap should be 0. Okay, I will give you one example, not now, but Wednesday, we'll solve that example and we will understand better. So your best point, the best thing that you could do in here is to immunize it, to make the duration of asset is equal to duration of liability. Changing the structure of asset and liability in order to make the duration of asset and duration of liability equal to 0. So when you have more clear and more detailed example, like with the assets and liabilities, then you will understand, yes, this is what could be done in order to immunize if we expect to increase, if the interest rate is expected to increase. So nowadays, the interest rates are expected to increase or go down during the pandemic. What the government does when they want to stimulate the demand to go up?
They will increase the rates, the banks.
Be careful,
Increase?
be careful when you say.
They will decrease in order to
Decrease.
increase money supply.
Now, first of all, when the demand is going down, when demand falls, okay? During the pandemic, did demand fall or increase?
It fell.
So it fell down. So now the job of the government to increase it, yes? The demand for goods and services, demand for goods and services. So how the government can increase the demand? Through what?
By increasing borrowing.
There are 3 instruments which in monetary policy. Three instruments in monetary policy. Very true, Begzat. Very true. By decreasing, so one of them is open market operation, The other one is discount rate. The other one is required reserve ratio. So if we are dealing with a discount rate, with our interest rate, so interest rate should go down in order to motivate the demand to go up. So this should go down in order to increase the demand. How you will increase? Now we are coming to the point that you say increasing the borrowing. How you will increase the borrowing? By reducing the rate, by reducing the interest rate. If you reduce the interest rate, people will start borrowing more. Okay. Now, this is what you, okay, when we get into the more example that we will understand really better. Now, I want you, this is done for this lecture. I will go into more examples. We will solve more examples and we'll have more cases. So now I want you to go just to follow me carefully. There is a database which is called World Bank. So this actually done, this database. So how many people we have here? Okay, anyway, we've got here 15 people with me, including. So now whatever I will do now, please try to memorize it, try to remember. So I find this World Bank database, you will do the same thing and try to attach the same thing. So your job is to follow me and to repeat the same thing what I do now. It will be considered as activity from you, okay? It will be considered as an activity. and it will be activity number 7 if I'm not. Let me just check it, or it's 10 already.
I think it's 10.
Yeah, 10. Anyway, the more activity we have, the better chances you have to get more grades actually. Now, yeah, activity 10. It will be activity 10. Where I was actually, let me just here. World Bank. I go here. Have you ever used this World Bank database? Anyone? Okay, it seems like nobody used it. It's a mostly used World Bank database actually. So there was one article that I did it with my colleagues. Let me just share with you. So this is the article that we did it. We did revisiting dynamic impact of external debt on economic growth in Nigeria. This is one of the good journal, like one of the outstanding journal. We did 3 of us, like we made research, and we used this World Bank database to do this research, okay? And it recently was published in this month, actually.
Professor, how do you measure the success of the research paper?
Success of the research paper, it's where you publish it, okay? There are some outstanding publishing houses like Wiley, Taylor and Francis, Emeralds, Elsevier, Springer. So there are like 5 or 6 publishing houses. And these publishing houses have some very good and very reputable journals. To publish in those journals is very difficult because it's for free and they're accepting only really outstanding papers. It's very difficult, and in order, so we can find any journal. There are many. There are like more than 100,000 journals. Okay, there are more than 100,000 journals. However, the best what you can do is to publish your journal, for example, to publish your article in a journal which is for free, and it should be in one of these publishing houses, like Wiley, Taylor and Francis, then Emerald, then we have whatever we call Elsevier, Springer, and there was one which is UK based. There's another one, okay. So even the university they have, but these are the like most popular one. If you publish in here, they really have got really good impact.
For example, on YouTube, when you publish a video, you get the mandatory reward for a number of views you get. But is it the same in this?
Yeah, the logic is the same. The more people reach your article,
Okay.
the better repeat. But you know it. But in here, one difference: not everybody should reach it, but the quality reach I'm talking about, the one who understands it. Okay. Not only reaching, but for example, if let's say Begjan saw this paper and found it, there's a big database that you find it like Scopus and so on. You found this paper, but just looking at it and just reading it, it's not enough for your paper to be reputable. Your paper should be that much interesting so that the people who reads it, he will use it in his own paper. Your work. For example, what I'm saying here, I have article here. Let's say, where is it? This is data I was collecting. For example, this is another article I'm working now. It's related to the banks, but it's related to Islamic banks and conventional banks. This data I collected. So what I say in here, for example, revised, I will open this one. Now, for example, can you see this author? This work is good work, very good. This work has been published in Elsevier publishing houses in one of the really good journal. I used his work. I am giving the example of his work. So same thing I'm expecting from somebody to use my work. So the more my work is used, the better I will be actually. Same thing, for example, in here, I cannot see it, but it just recently published. There's another one. Taylor and Francis. We call it like scientifically, it's like here, Taylor and Francis. It's written in China language as well. By the way, it's translated into Chinese as well. This is another, this is Harvard's university journal, but it's in the publishing house of Taylor and Francis. So in here, as you can see, 3 people used this article, but 188 viewed it, saw it and read it. But only 3 of them used my article as example that can be referred to. You got my point? So
Yeah.
the work, your job is not to make your work to rich. Your job is to make your work to be used, to be beneficial. Okay.
And do you get good money for that?
Actually, yes, the universities, if you publish it, the university pays you good money. For example, for this journal that the last that I opened, I received around like $2,000.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
thank you.
imagine there are professors, even myself, I'm not publishing too much papers, like maybe two articles in 1 year, but there are professors who publish 30, 40 articles. I have my colleague, we graduated in the same year. Up to now, he has published 80 papers, 80 works. And imagine he got like for each $2,000. So within 3 years, he published maybe 30 works.
So, for example, when you teach at universities, it turns out that your main goal is not to teach students, but to make research, right?
Yeah, to make the research to increase the reputation of the university.
Okay, thanks.
Because if you go and see if you click on my name, you see the affiliation of the KIMEP University. Like the KIMEP gets popular as well, the more you publish. Okay, now we are in the World Bank. So nowadays the research is very important, really. I mean, it is conducted not only by the professors who lecture in the universities, but it is actually conducted by the economist who works in the government. I will explain you why it is important, okay? For example, here's a database. One more time, I go Google, I just write World Bank, I enter here, and just database, data bank. World Development Indicators. Here's my database comes out. So for all countries you want. Any data, okay? My database here, these are the different of, like if you want finance, like global financial development, global financial inclusion consumers, global financial inclusion, G financial. So they're different databases. So I use the global financial development, more finance oriented. Let me choose, let's say, Turkey, or let me choose Kazakhstan. This, what data is available in this database? Look, 5 bank asset concentration. This measures the market share, okay? How much the big is market share. Then we have bank accounts and bank concentration, like bank cost to income. This measuring, for example, is good measurement of efficiency, how the efficiency is measured is through this ratio. Then bank deposit to GDP, the lending, this is the change in interest rate, okay? Look, this is spread. This is very good. Bank net interest margin, it measures the financial performance of the banks. It measures the profitability of the bank. Bank non-interest income to total income, it measures the profitability, but profits from non-interest based activities. Bank non-performing loans to gross loans, this measures the bad loans of the banks, their asset quality. Return on assets, regulatory capital to risk-weighted assets. It's something related to capital adequacy. Okay, I can use another ratio. So ROE, return on assets, after tax or before the tax. I'm preferring to use after tax, after all expenses deducted. Return on equity after tax. Bank Z score, it measures actually the competition impact, the banking competition, okay? Are the banks are competitive or not? Oh, I'm sorry. Z score is something about the stability, okay? How stable the banks are in the Kazakhstan. Just confused with the Bund indicator. The Bund indicator is about the competition. Bund indicator about the competition. I'm going to write it down, okay? Bund indicator. So this is stability, financial stability. This is so this, when you download it, at the same time it downloads the definition of this. It downloads the definition. Consumer price index, it measures inflation. Financial system deposit, the whole financial system deposit to the GDP. So there are many ratios that you can use it, okay? The gross GDP at market prices, GDP, we can use it. The growth. Age statistics is measuring the competition as well. Learner index is measuring the competition level. Liquid liabilities to GDP, it measures the liquidity, okay? Or we can make this thing, liquid asset to deposit and short-term fundings, okay? So we measuring the liquidity issue of the companies. I think that's enough what I just got it. Then I go for timing. I will select as much, actually I can select for last 25 years. But I don't, let me select 50 years, but I'm sure that for other years, I will not have any data before the 1991. Yes? Why? Do you think so? Why I shouldn't have any data before 1991?
Because we used to be.
Kazakhstan was part of.
Yes, because of the independence. Because of the collapse of USSR, it took the place in 1991, and Kazakhstan got independence. So we should expect the data start from 1991. And I apply changes. Download Excel. I open the Excel. As you can see, from 1968, I don't have anything. Enable editing. Okay, I'm just delete this. Until even 1990, so from 91 to 95, it was not that much transparent, but then it became transparent. So here, so these are the ratios that I use. For example, I don't need this one. So this is the data I downloaded. So I'm going to use this data to see. So from 1996, 1997. until 2017. Great. I know it's Kazakhstan. So I just get this data, but I need to put in the way so that my program, the software, will read it. So my software will be able to read only in this way. Okay, so this is Kazakhstan. So I can call this one cost to income. I can call this spread only. This NIM, net interest margin. This NPL, non-performing loans. This is ROA. This is ROE, profitability. This is Z score I've just called. This is BUN, I'll call it only. This is liquidity. That's it. So I will use this data. So as a spread, I don't have any information. I don't have any information here. Okay. So I have to search somewhere else. The interest rate changes. How the spread changing. So in here, what I can understand in this is profitability. Now I want to test, let's say, I want to see how these variables will affect my profitability, return on assets. How the management efficiency, how the asset quality, and how the financial stability, and how the competition, the banking competition, and how the liquidity will have effect on my financial performance of my banks in Kazakhstan. Is it positive or negative? This is my aim, actually. This is my job to do it, but I will not do it now. What I'm planning to do it now, I will ask you, please. We have Ademi. Ademi, please write down. You have Turkey. Write down Turkey. Adlet Abdurrahmanov, you can write Cyprus. Aynur, write the country of Brazil. Alua, you can write Russia. Begzat, you can write Kazakhstan. Begjan, you can take UK. Bernard, you can take France. Daulet, you can take USA. Dongo, you can take Japan. Erach, you can take which country I should give you? Djibouti. Okay, I'm joking. Okay, there's a country, but the data is not available for Djibouti, unfortunately. But otherwise, I would have asked you to do it. Erach, then select any European countries that comes into your mind now. One of the Scandinavian countries, Norway.
Okay.
Camila, you should go with Kyrgyzstan. Sanjar, go with Switzerland. And Tengir, go with any countries. Nigeria. My last research, Nigeria. Okay, what you need to do, please download. Please download cost to income ratio, BUN indicator, Z score, and the last one, net interest margin. Download the data and upload to the Moodle as activity 10. Do it now. Let me revise you the steps again, what you need to do, how you can access this data. So please take a snapshot, cost to income, Boone indicator, Z-score, and net interest margin. Now, I type in the Google World Bank. Sorry. World Bank. I go to the World Bank group. Then, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Type World Bank data. Okay. You can select this one, World Bank Data Bank. Select this one. World Development Indicators. Julius, I did not tell you. Take Argentina. Please take the Argentina. So you go to database, financial, type in here database type, global financial development, select this data base, and just start with the country, find your country, select it, find your series, select it, and name, and the number of the years, and then just apply changes. Then from the meta or from download options from the right on the corner at the top, download the Excel file. Okay, there's any question that comes? Somebody was trying to ask anything? Okay. Now start doing
Sorry.
it. Yes, please.
Do we need change format as you did?
No. Don't just download the data, upload it. The format is the last step when you will be applying your software program. Just I
Okay,
want you
thank
to
you.
learn how to download it very quickly. Okay, we have 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, you have to submit everything. Download date, actually it should have taken you 2-3 minutes. But anyway, if you face any problems, ask me now. Now you can start while I'm creating the activity 10 on your Moodle. Okay, guys, I created activity 10. You can just upload it once you finish. Let me know when you finish it.
I submitted France on Moodle.
Okay, thank you so much. If you submit it, you can leave the conference.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Excuse me, Professor, may you please drop the website link to the chat, please? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Professor, for some reason, I cannot download the Excel table. I don't know why.
Can you share your screen, please?
Yes, 1 second. Can you see it?
Just press on Excel.
Yeah, I do, but it doesn't download.
Very strange. Try to download in other things.
Okay.
In any another format, please. Maybe there's some JavaScript doesn't allow you to do so.
Okay, I will try.
Change the settings in JavaScript so that it lets you, maybe because of the safety, doesn't let you to download. As I can see that you're using the Apple.
Yes.
If you still cannot, just upload any empty file to the Moodle, what do you call it, to the system, to the Moodle itself.
Okay.
Professor, what was the time period?
The time you have got 10 minutes more.
No, when concerning the Excel data.
It doesn't matter. Select any time period, any.
Yeah, okay. It turns out that you cannot download the Excel because you didn't indicate all of the criteria.
That's actually a good point. Thank you so much.
Professor, I uploaded my file.
Okay, thank you. You can leave the conference. Thank you so much.
Professor,
Yes,
Japan uploaded.
if you upload it, you can leave the conference.
Okay.